Hey kids, what's up? It's Miss Lally, and I am not wherever you are watching this right now. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Africa Notes, and I'm going to do this using a screen recording in QuickTime. And so you're going to see my face some, and you're going to see some notes some, and hopefully you can understand it. And you can ask me any questions later when I get back, or we can do some commenting on Schoology. First, what I've done is I've taken all of the African notes and put them into a Google Doc, and that's going to be shared into your World Cultures collection, and I'm going to write over it right now as I'm talking and explain a little bit about Chapter 3 and actually Chapter 4 of Africa. So I'm going to get started. So here is the doc. I'm going to go to view full screen. And we erased some of these questions. We erased 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete those now. And if those aren't deleted in your notes, you can delete them. So when we're talking about African kingdoms, we're talking about what was life like for Africa before Europeans came in. And some commonly believed ideas are that there was no civilization in Africa before Europeans came. That's actually not true. There were many kingdoms in Africa, and specifically in Western Africa. And Taghaza is a city in West Africa, and so many people wanted to get from kind of the Nile River area across the Sahara Desert to Taghaza, and the reason why they wanted to get there was salt, and that's actually number 2. So Taghaza had salt, and salt became salt was more valuable than gold or silver because it was rare. And it had a specific purpose, and that specific purpose was to cure or season meat. And since at the time we're talking, there clearly was no refrigeration, being able to preserve, maybe I should say preserve, preserve the meat. Being able to preserve your meat means you can eat for more days, so that's really valuable. So how did they cross the desert? Well, they moved at night, first of all, because the Sahara Desert is pretty hot, so it's nicer to go at night when there's not the blazing sun. They also used their, used their knowledge of the stars to find water. There is a little bit of water in the desert, and so they navigated using the stars, which is pretty sophisticated and amazing. So the first kingdom developed between the Senegal and Niger rivers. And the ruler of the kingdom was called, the name means war chief or king of gold, and war chief and king of gold, or Ghana. Okay, so this is the title here. And so this is, between rivers is a really fertile part of a region. So it makes sense that kingdoms would develop in that space. And later the land is Ghana. Okay? All right, so what kingdom develops in the delta region of the Niger River? And you will all remember what a delta is based on the geography terms we did at the beginning of the year. So, what kingdom developed? The kingdom of Benin. And Iware was considered the most glorious ruler. Spell check that out. Excuse me. And another name for ruler is Oba. Okay, so they might say Oba and then the person's given name. So, like, you could call me Oba Lally if you wanted. That's another name for ruler. And let's see, I have some pictures here. So here's the camels crossing the desert, okay? This would be a picture, let's make this a little bit bigger, picture of Western Africa here. And so we're talking about, oh, that's kind of blurry. But you can see West Africa, and the Senegal and the Niger rivers are right in here. And then the Benin is right here. Here's the delta where this kingdom developed. So we're talking West Africa. So if your project is West Africa, you might want to say something about the ancient kingdoms that are there. Okay, so back to the notes. Oh, you can see me again. Hi. Back to the notes. What is a city-state? A city-state is a large town with its own government and usually controls the surrounding countryside. So basically, it's in the center of a rural region. It's a more urban area, okay? And the famous East African city-states, a couple of them are called Malindi, Mombasa, Kilwa, Sofala, and I'm not going to write them all down because you don't really need to know the specific names of them, but these are in Eastern Africa. So Mombasa is where Kenya is in Kenya. Okay, so they're on that eastern region. So why are the marketplaces of those areas so popular and busy? Well, because there's so much trade. And people from all over are coming to trade with these big city-states. And they even do some foreign trade. And so because many of these cities are on the coast, and you can actually look in your storybook for an image of where these cities are located. And you can see that they did some foreign trade too. Okay, so what European group took over many of the East African city-states by the 1500s? Portuguese. Portuguese. Okay, so the Portuguese, and they were the first Europeans to really take an active hold in an African nation, and they really wanted to trade on the way to Asia. Okay, so that's kind of how Africa was originally discovered by Europeans, was because as European explorers were on their way to India and China, they realized that there's this huge continent in the way, and that there are natural resources to be had. So, okay, Zimbabwe, which is in the southern region of Africa, means Great Stone House. And originally Zimbabwe, the region of Zimbabwe, was called Rhodesia when it was colonized, but it got changed back to Zimbabwe after independence from European nations. Okay, so how did most of the people who lived in the area make a living? Most were farmers and herders. But, oops, herd, no A in herders. Goodness. But they probably also benefited from the gold trade. Okay, that's the end of section 1 of chapter 4. And what you could do is you could add in images. You can look at a map. I think that would be really helpful to understand the African kingdoms. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Ta-ta for now.